Welcome to Fabrigy Talks podcast, where we explore software development, generative AI, industrial IoT, and data engineering. Our goal is to provide IT executives with practical business insights that can be seamlessly put into practice in their organizations. You can listen to every episode of our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and YouTube. If you want to know more about what we do, visit our website at fabrigy.com. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to the new episode of Fabrity Talks podcast. I'm your host, Jarosław Goncharenko from Fabrity, and as a IT content manager, I focus on creating content that drives informed decisions and helps achieve strategic business goals. Today, I'm joined by Piotr Wierzbicki, head of maintenance and Wisman in Legnica, and we will be talking about digital transformation in the maintenance departments. Hi Piotr, I'm happy that you accepted our invite.
Hello, Jarosław. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
Great. I think you are a good person to talk to about digital transformation in maintenance department. So before we begin, just could you introduce yourself and say a few words about your professional background?
Okay, as you said, hello again, Jarosław. As you said, I'm the head of maintenance at the Wisman factory in Legnica, where we manufacture heat pumps. Almost my entire professional career has been related to maintenance management. I began my journey in the maintenance department several years ago, initially working as TPM engineer, then as a maintenance leader, and later as a maintenance manager. I also gained experience as a production manager, which allowed me to view maintenance from a different perspective.
That's great. So maybe let's start with a warm-up question. We often at Fabrity talk to maintenance departments, and from our perspective, this is one of the areas where digitalization can bring quick and considerable results. However, we often encounter a very conservative approach to technical innovation. The saying goes, as you know, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. So, what arguments would you use to convince all stakeholders that the change is needed, that something new needs to be introduced?
Convincing maintenance departments to adopt digitalization and technical innovation can be challenging, particularly when encountering a caution approach and the perspective associated with it. The "if it isn't broken, don't fix it" mentality often leads to reactive maintenance, which is costly and results in downtime. Digitization enables the implementation of predictive solutions that identify potential issues before they occur. For example, a monitoring system can alert teams to rising parameters such as temperature or vibration or another, allowing for planned maintenance and the prevention of failures. We know that even short downtime generate significant cost and other losses such as production delays. This leads to challenges in meeting delivery deadlines, diminish the reputation of the facility, and negatively impact customer relationship. This is why minimizing downtime is essential. Modern digital solutions are instrumental in achieving this. Traditional approaches rely on experience and intuition, which are of course valuable but limited. Digital tools provide data that allow for better and faster decision making.
Yes, intuition, of course, is very important, especially when it's based on vast experience, but it does not scale simply. So we need modern technologies to scale, so to prepare proper solutions. Yes, and
Yeah.
I'd like to ask one
Mhm.
question more about stakeholders. Who are the person you should talk to at the factory to convince them that digital transformation is something needed?
I feel the top management is the proper person to discuss with this because we have to discuss with director, plant manager, then convince about this solution and digitalization in maintenance. After that, we can go down with managers, production managers, maintenance managers, and all team inside the different departments.
So, what arguments would you use to convince them? What arguments? What would you say to them about digital transformation project if you were to convince them that some such initiative is needed?
It's also crucial to remember that equipment failures are not only costly, but can sometimes pose risk to workers' health. A modern system helps minimize the risk of accident. Companies that do not invest in innovation lose their competitive edge. Digitization allows them to adapt to market demands and future technologies. While investment in digitization may seem expensive initially, they pay off quickly through saving on downtime, repairs, and improvement efficiency.
From this perspective, it is like be or not to be, because if you
Yes. In 100%, I agree with you. Yeah.
if you don't start digital transformation at some time, you in the future you will lose your competitive edge, and
Yes. It's important to emphasize that introducing changes that not mean abandoning what works well. Innovation support teams and their expertise rather than attempting to replace them.
I think that's a good point you made, because people are
Yes.
also afraid of losing their jobs, but it's not about losing their jobs, or just just firing them, but making their work faster, better, more effective.
Yes. More quality, yes, and faster. Of
Okay.
course. This is the main goal.
Okay, that's okay. Once we decided to start a digital transformation in the maintenance department, which aspects should we prioritize and digitalize first? I'm asking about your perspective as a head of maintenance.
Okay. To embark on a successful digital transformation in maintenance, we must first address the mindset shift needed to embrace innovation and data-driven decision making. Once this foundation is established, we can focus on areas that offer the greatest benefits in terms of efficiency, cost savings, and, of course, safety. The key priorities should include condition monitoring, as a real-time monitoring enables the quick detection of deviation from norms preventing failures, predictive maintenance, which allows for predicting failures based on historical and current data, spare parts management, as maintaining excessive inventory generates cost, while a lack of critical parts can cause downtime. Sometimes we are waiting few weeks for the spare parts. To address this, we can use ERP systems, digital inventory register, and automate notification about low stock levels. Technical documentation management, as paper documents are difficult to manage, especially when dealing with a large number of machines. A good example would be introducing QR codes on the machines. I like, let's say, this QR code the most. This allows maintenance teams to quickly access the technical documentation of specific machines. For example, electrical or hydraulic schematics, manuals, etc. Such a solution also saves time by eliminating the need to go to the maintenance workshop and search through paper documents, which can prolong machine downtime.
So, if I understand correctly, the technician simply scans the QR code that is on the
Yes.
machine and then accesses, and he does it by using his mobile phone, yes? Or
Yes.
some
They
mobile
they
device.
can directly scan the QR code from the machine, and this QR code move the technician to direct to the datasheet connected with this machine.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and what about the data?
Finally, data analysis and reporting. Data collected during machine operation is crucial for process optimization, enabling the identification of recurring problems and their root causes. It is also worth mentioning process visualization through digital twins. Digital models of machines or production lines allow for simulation and problems forecasting, providing the opportunity to analyze what-if scenarios without risking real processes.
Okay, I need to ask the question related to the generative AI, because it is a hot topic now. And in our podcast, we often discuss generative AI and AI application in the industrial context. One area that we've explored extensively is the use of large language models in production, particularly in maintenance. And so at Fabrity, we recently developed a solution that integrates production data with large language model, and allowing maintenance engineers and technicians to quickly diagnose and resolve production issues. I'd like to hear your thoughts. What applications for LLMs in maintenance do you see?
The application of large language models in maintenance operation can unlock entirely new possibilities for diagnostic, knowledge management, and process automation. An LLM, when combined with production data, for example, machine logs, failure history, acts as a natural language interface, enabling user to interact with complex datasets in intuitive way. It can help analyze problem symptoms, suggest potential causes, and recommend specific solution based on insights generated by machine learning models. For example, predictive maintenance relies on ML algorithms to process IoT systems, sensor data, and historical records, while the LLM translates these predictive analysis results into accessible and actionable insights for engineers.
That's
LLM,
exactly what we did
yeah.
at Fabric. Sorry to interrupt
Oh,
you, but
okay,
this is
no
the way
problem.
you describe the way our solution here developed at Fabric works. So we have the interface powered by LLM, that is the chatbot interface, when you can ask questions about, for example, how this heat pump works or not. What is the medium
Yes,
temperature of
correct.
the heat pump in the last cycle, and so on, so on. So and that's interesting. So please go on, because I interrupted you.
No problem. Additionally, LMS can process and organize technical documentation, service reports, and historical data, making them easily accessible and understandable. LLMs also have application in intelligent service request system. For instance, a model can analyze a request like machine X is making an unusual noise during operation, classify its a high risk of bearing failure, and recommend an inspection within 24 hours. And we know that we have to react fast to repair this machine. The model can also analyze data and automatically generate reports on downtime, failures, or machine usage. This significantly saves time in report creation and ensure data consistency and accuracy. These are, of course, just a few examples. The potential application of LLMs in maintenance operation are vast and continuously expanding.
Okay, thank you for this input. I think that we should now move to specific digital transformation projects. What interests me now is technical documentation, managing technical documentation, because generative AI can be a good solution here. You mentioned that you can use LLMs to manage this documentation. So maybe you could talk about example of a digital transformation project that you implemented.
Yes, of course. Let's discuss an example related to managing technical documentation. Effective management of the technical documentation for machines and equipment is one of the key foundations for the efficient operation of a maintenance department. To ensure the documentation is useful and easy to access, it's essential to establish clearly defined standards and structure, as well as assign responsibility for the process. The first step is to create a centralized technical documentation database. All data about machine and equipment should be stored in a single shared database, accessible to all authorized users. This database must include key information about the machine, such as manufacturer, machine types, technical specification, a list of manufacturer documentation, manual, schematic, and other necessary materials. We can put everything what we want and what we need in the future. To avoid the issue of multiple people adding documents to the database in an unstructured way without proper description or verification, this is for me the most important thing. We have to designate person or team should be assigned to coordinate this documentation.
So it's like about preparing the right structure of the
Yes, the
documentation
right structure.
and assigning
Yes.
right governance to the. So who is responsible for managing this documentation?
Not
So
that
it's the basic.
everybody is putting everything, and after that we know what we exactly have inside. Let's say yes,
Yeah, that's the good point. Okay.
and that's why the responsibility this person that we assign for this task would include updating, verifying, and maintaining order in the database, because we know that everybody will do the same, putting, for example, this documentation in this database. After that, after a few weeks or even months, we will have everything, but not connected with the machine, and sometimes double the same files or scheme. Yeah? And
Or
this
some
is the
outdated
crucial. Yeah.
documentation,
Yeah.
for
Yes. For
example.
example. Yeah.
Maybe so. Okay, so what is what are the standards that you are trying to
Yes.
maintain when governing this, managing this documentation?
The database should be created according to the established standards. For example, each machine has a dedicated structure of folders and subfolders to make it easy to locate the required information. Documents are clearly described and organized according to a predefined standard, eliminating chaos and inconsistency in file management. The database should be also allow for the status labeling of each document. For example, available, not in the database, under review. In these cases, what I mentioned before, that when many people will put such documentation without labeling such status, we will not in the future what we have, let's say, inside.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and of course, after that, save technician times when they searching for specific documents. If a document does not exist in the database, the user knows immediately that can redirect their efforts to alternative sources. For example, is contacting the manufacturer service team, and we will not lose time during the breakdown.
Okay, how big the database is? How big is your database of technical documentation?
How big? It depends how many machines you have, let's say, in the plant. But for example, sometimes one instruction for one machine is 200 or sometimes 300 pages. I think it's a lot. And during breakdown, checking all pages is not possible for technicians.
Okay, QR codes seem a good way to solve this issue, just to speed up the process of finding the information. But the case you described is the case of the complex technical documentation management.
Yes.
And I was asking this question because at Fabrity, we worked on similar cases using generative AI that was combined with a knowledge base through the so-called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation mechanism. And so from the technical knowledge base, we created a vector database that could be searched via natural language queries, so via chatbot interface or even voice queries. And the LLM was able to interpret the query, understand the query of the user, and provide the information the user was looking for. So in your case, you have already a well-structured knowledge base that could be used to create a vector database to build a proper RAG pipeline. So I think the case you described is also, from my point of view, a perfect use case for applying RAG mechanism to documentation.
Yes, I fully agree that user could and in fact should utilize generative AI combined with a knowledge base through the RAG retrieval augmented generation mechanism. This technology can significantly accelerate and simplify work, especially for technician working directly with machine on the production floor. Let's explore a few scenarios where this solution can be applied.
Okay, that would be interesting. I like.
Okay. A quick access to documentation in emergency situation we mentioned a few minutes ago. Let's start with emergencies. When a machine breakdown, time is everything, we know. You need to find the right electrical or hydraulic schematic as fast as possible to fix the issue. Instead of digging through Python documentation, imagine using a chatbot powered by Gen AI. You just ask it directly, and within seconds, it finds the exact schematic you need. No delays, no frustration. And this kind of instant access save time, reduce downtime, and help minimize production losses.
Okay, I think that's very good point you made, because time is everything. Time is very precious at the factory. If
Yes.
something breaks down, the cost of downtime is very big. So you need to repair it as fast as you can. So finding the necessary information is a crucial here. Okay.
Yes, and imagine situation that everybody is calling to the technician when this breakdown will be fixed, and the technician said, "I don't have documentation." And in this case, we have in fast check all documentation and find a proper schematic. Yes.
Okay. Okay. That streamlines a lot. Helps a lot.
The next point is planning maintenance and analyzing historical data. For me, it's also important and crucial. Now let's talk about maintenance planning. Normally, you would have to go through the knowledge base, pull out data, create reports, maybe even build charts and pivot tables to analyze things like failure rates or repair efficiency. It's double but time consuming, right? We know that this checking all data and creating pivot chart, it takes sometimes few minutes, sometimes even few hours if you looking something, let's say, in details. But with Gen AI, this process becomes so much easier. You simply request the information, and within moments, it generates ready-made reports. That means engineer can skip the tedious prep work and focus on what really matters, interpreting and the data and making decision based on this report
Mm.
in faster way, of course.
Yeah, that's interesting because preparing reports may be tedious and take a lot of time.
And imagine the situation that you know that you have this data, but you don't remember where, and you're looking for searching all the database, and it's time. Yes,
Yeah, time is money, especially
yes,
in the
time is
factory.
money. Yes, yes.
Good.
The next, fast search in extensive technical documentation. And this is the similar what I mentioned before, but this is another example. Imagine the documentation for one machine. I said that it sometimes 100, sometimes 200, but even 300 pages long. And you need to find details about replacing the gearbox in the x-axis of the robot. This is example. Searching manually could take several minutes or even longer. With Gen AI, you just describe what you are looking for, and the chatbot pulls up the exact section in the second. Now think about scaling that across dozens or even hundreds of machines. Automating this search doesn't just save time, it can literally free up hours of work for your teams, boosting efficiency across the board.
So, from what you say, it means that generative AI doesn't replace anyone, but simply makes their work easier,
Yes.
faster, less tedious, more interesting, because they can focus on what's really matters and not from doing tedious, repetitive tasks.
Yes, make life easier and faster. As you mentioned, Jarosław, that in these cases in manufacturing and during the breakdown, the time is money. Yes.
Yeah, and technicians will be less stressed by the
Yes.
situation.
Yes. 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 It's good point. Yes.
Okay, let's continue because there is also question that you mentioned when we were talking before the recording about generating customized instructions, which in this case is quite interesting for me. I'd like to listen to more details.
Yes, finally, there is the creation of instruction. Imagine a technician needing to know how to perform a specific repair, like replacing the gearbox on the machine. And we know that we have many different machines and many different mechanisms. And even imagine situation that we have the new technician in the team, and this technician don't know how the machine is working, where they find, let's say, this instruction. And I think this is it's good for not only the new members in maintenance, but for all team. Instead of shifting through piles of documentation, they can simply ask a chatbot powered by GenAI and receive clear step-by-step instruction within seconds.
So it's like you help generally helps with onboarding of new employees because you
Yes,
don't have to
yes,
master all the so the process of onboarding will be simpler and faster. I imagine that in Legnica you have plenty of machines, and if a new employee has to master all the documentation about all these machines, it may take a lot of time.
yes, yes, yes. This approach is not only much faster, but also ensure that the instructions are tailored, precise, and easy to follow, significantly simplifying the work and improving efficiency. Because as we mentioned before, we have many different machines, and this is directly for this machine what we're looking for. Yes.
Okay, that's a good point because you are saying that there are plenty of use cases for GenAI in maintenance departments. So GenAI can really simplify the life of
Yes.
maintenance technicians. So I'm happy to hear that because I'm very fan of applying generative AI to solve questions, maybe not about drug discovery because or cancer cure, but to streamline daily tasks that are tedious. And it makes a great difference when can streamline something that is
Yes.
tedious and not
Mhm.
interesting and focus. You can focus so that you can focus on more critical, business critical tasks.
For this solution to be effective, it's crucial to have a well-organized and regularly updated knowledge base. Such a database should include basic information, technical and operation documentation, DTR for machines and all equipment, expanded information, data collected during inspection, failures, and service visit is also important, not only basic documentation. Maintaining this database requires accountability and consistency. It is essential that every intervention on machine, whenever performed by internal maintenance team, external contractors, or the manufacturer's service team, is documented and entered into the database. This systematic approach ensures the knowledge base remain a reliable and valuable resources for all users in the future.
Okay, so essentially, the success of Gen AI project for technical documentation management really comes down to data. You need high quality, well organized, and properly labeled data. Yes.
Yes, you are absolutely right. The success of a Gen AI project depends on high quality, organized, and properly labeled data. Outdated or inconsistent data leads to unreliable results, so regular updates and audits are essential. A well-structured knowledge base with a clear tagging, like electrical schematics or gearbox or another, this is for me also the most important, allows the AI to retrieve information quickly. Keeping the data up to date and using consistent formats ensure the system stays accurate and effective. In the end, data is the foundation. With a clean, organized knowledge base, Gen AI can truly transform the way you manage technical documentation.
So in short, Gen AI system is as good as the data that it uses.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so what about predictive maintenance? Because to be honest with you, this seems like one of the first and most obvious applications of AI in the manufacturing industry, and especially in the maintenance department when you need to provide maintenance services to different machines in the factory.
Predictive maintenance with SAP S/4HANA and SAP Fiori is a great example of how modern tools support daily operation and help prevent failures. The key lies in a well-organized database that includes machine history, failures, and inspection, and the ability to leverage this data in everyday activities. With SAP Fiori, we have access to the database from any device, like phone, tablet, or computer. Production teams can report an issue in real time, and the maintenance team can act immediately by scanning QR codes on machine to quickly access relevant documentation or schematic. This reduces response times and minimize downtime.
You are saying a quite important thing because I associated SAP as a accounting system. I didn't know that SAP can be used for predictive maintenance. Yes.
Yes, we can also use SAP for preventive and predictive. And here is where the real magic happens. Predictive capabilities, SAP, combined with a system for analyzing machine parameters, allows you to set threshold values for machine metrics such as temperatures and motor current or another. When something deviates from the norm, the system automatically sends information to SAP, which generates a notification. This effectively creates a predictive program that gives us time to plan action before a failure occurs. This not only saves time and cost, but also ensures smoother production operation.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, I can add that this is a perfect example of how technology can help shift the approach from reactive to proactive, even it's based on predefined thresholds rather than advanced AI algorithms analyzing historical data. While it's not yet full predictive maintenance driven by AI, it lays the groundwork for incorporating more sophisticated solutions in the future, and that's the direction we should aim for.
Okay, that's important what you say that you don't have even aim for AI. It is enough
Yes.
to have more simple solutions, but still they work and prepare the place for the ground for more advanced ones. Okay, so I think that another hot topic, we also discussed this topic in our podcast, is real-time production line monitoring, because it is a challenge, and we frequently discuss with our guests on Fabrity Talks, and it seems a holy grail for our maintenance departments. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about this topic, this hot topic.
Yes, it's a hot topic. I agree. Real-time monitoring of production lines has become an absolute standard, and tools like Splunk are now essential. Splunk enables real-time tracking of machine status, showing which machines are operational, which are undergoing changeover, and which have stopped due to a failure. This allows immediate reaction, minimize downtime, and its impact on meeting production target. In addition to monitoring, Splunk creates a knowledge base of past processes, downtimes, and anomalies. This facilitates the generation of reports and data analysis, enabling the implementation of measures to improve line efficiency. And as you see, Jarosław, everywhere when we discuss, we say database, and without data, even fantastic good program with Gen AI, it's not worth because you don't have data for working with it. Yes.
So digital transformation in industry is all about the data. Without the data, you
Yes.
can do nothing. You can do
Yes.
nothing.
Yes.
And what about Splunk? Because you said that you are using this platform. Could you say a little bit more about this solution?
Yes, this efficiency is achieved by collecting production data from industrial IPC computers during ongoing operation, and along with operator reported information and machine sensor data, all of which are stored in the Planck system for real-time analysis and actionable insights. By analyzing this data, the system detects anomalies or thresholds breaches and sends a notification to the subsystem, which automatically generate an alert about the identified issue or anomaly. This provides immediate warnings about potential failures, enabling quick response and minimize downtime. We know earlier that the breakdown is coming. Yes.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, it's that you have the shop floor where all the machines are, then you have the Splunk platform where all the data are gathered and analyzed, and then you have
Yes.
a SAP system at the last
Yes.
instance that provides the communication with
Yes.
Splunk to office managers, to plant managers, so at the top level there's SAP system, yes.
Yes. And in maintenance, we get a notification with the new notification from the system that something is happening on the machine. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So no more Excel-driven production planning. So I heard a lot of stories about of big factories that were planning their production in this Excel spreadsheets, and but this is not scalable, so it needs to change. Yes.
Yes, with today's volume of production data, relying on Excel-driven planning is no longer practical. Why Excel has its strength, it's error-prone, time-consuming, and lack the real-time capabilities needed for modern manufacturing. This is my opinion. Tools like Splunk provide real-time insights, scalability, and automation, drastically reducing human errors and freeing times to focus on decision making. Moving away from Excel isn't just about new technology, it's about adopting a more efficient and reliable approach to production management. In today's data driven world, tools like Splunk are essential.
So there is no other way around from a digital transformation. So we need to head to this direction because otherwise, we will lose our competitive edge, and we need to use such platforms as Splunk, to gather and analyze data.
Yes.
That's a good point. And so we are wrapping up our podcast. And since we are moving into new year, I'd like to wrap up with some predictions for 2025, especially since digital transformation is an ongoing process. So what do you think the coming year will look like for maintenance managers and technicians? So I'd like to hear your personal perspective.
I think 2025 will bring exciting changes for maintenance team. and a few trends really stand out to me. First, we will see more companies adopting AI and predictive maintenance tools. And this solution will help predict failures with greater accuracy, reducing unexpected downtime and shifting maintenance to more proactive approach. Real-time data and the tools like SAP or IoT sensor will become essential. Another big development will be the rise of digital twins. These virtual models of machine or production lines will help teams simulate scenarios, identify ineffectiveness, and predict problems without affecting real processes. I see this become standard in manufacturing. Upskilling technician will also be critical. Maintenance team will need to get comfortable with data-driven tools, predictive maintenance system, and even generative AI interface. Companies that invest in training, their teams will see better adoption of these technologies. As you mentioned, real-time monitoring is already becoming a must-have, and I think tools like Splunk will be in almost every facility soon. The ability to track machine status, detect issue, and track immediately will be the norm. And finally, AI for knowledge management will save a lot of time. Instead of searching through manuals or schematic, technicians will use natural language queries to find exactly what they need in the seconds. It's a game changer for efficiency.
Okay, so as you said, 2025 in
Yes.
maintenance departments will be about predictive maintenance and AI, digital twins, upskilling
Yes.
technicians to help them work with data-driven systems, real-time monitoring, and AI for knowledge management. So that are 5 trends you expect to
Yes.
happen in
Yes.
2025. Okay.
Yes, and in short, 2025 will be all about proactive, tech-driven maintenance, and the teams that adopt to these trends will have a big advantage. It's an exciting time to be in this field, and I can wait to see how it evolves.
I completely agree with you because I'm also excited about Gen AI and the potential how this technology can streamline the production processes and maintenance work in factories. And that's the topic that's the hot topic we often discuss in our Fabrity Talks podcast.
Yes.
That's all we have for you today. Piotr, thank you very much for sharing your experience and insights.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Rosław, to invite me to this podcast.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for listening, and until next time, bye.
Bye. Thank you one more time.
Fabrity specializes in bespoke software development, generative AI, industrial IoT, and data engineering. We build complex solutions for enterprise clients to automate processes, boost efficiency, reduce downtime, and enhance decision-making through effective data analysis. If you have a software project in mind or any questions, feel free to reach out at sales@fabrity.com. And if you have a topic you'd like us to cover or want to join the conversation on Fabrity Talks, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and until next time.